was The Shepherds of Arcadia by Nicolas Poussin, a 17th century French artist who was rumoured to have been a member of the Priory of Sion. It depicts a group of shepherds studying a stone tomb out in a field. One of them is pointing to a Latin inscription in the stone, Et in Arcadia ego.
It is an anagram, again in Latin. If I consult my notebook, when you transpose the letters, you get Et ego in arca Dei, and I act in the name of the Ark of God.
Is there a game being played here?
Oh, almost certainly there's a game being played here. It's a game that would appeal very much to the author of Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown, who loves solving puzzles. But who's playing the game? What's the point?
Tim told me that the bloodline does exist, that he's actually met some of its members.
I spent some 8 or 9 years investigating this story and seeing how I could substantiate it. And the conclusion we came to was, while it cannot be actively proved that their claim to descent from Jerusalem is absolutely certain, what can be seen by evidence amassed over the 8 centuries of records is that these people had preserved a story that said Jesus did not come to die on the cross to redeem us from sin, but to reveal a spiritual pathway of initiation leading to sacred knowledge or gnosis. This is a tradition which has been well accepted in France for many, many centuries.
So there is a bloodline?
Yes, oh, very definitely.
If you think of the bloodline coming from Jesus, the Catholic Church literally went and tried to stamp out everyone who was of that bloodline and everyone who knew them, who knew who they were, and they thought that they could get rid of it that way. They purposely tried to keep people from gaining this knowledge of alternate versions of Jesus' life.
I went to the archives in Paris to see what else I could find on the Priory of Sion. On its microfilm records, I came across a document called Le Serpent Rouge, the Red Serpent. I was told that it could be a coded reference to the bloodline snaking its way down through history. There were references to the queen of a lost kingdom buried underground in a new Temple of Solomon, who was called Magdalene. It seemed to be referring to the tomb of Mary Magdalene. And in a bizarre and sinister twist, the 3 men shown as the authors of the document were all found dead within 24 hours of each other, just a few weeks after it appeared in the library. Were they killed for revealing secrets? And if so, who by? I called one of the few academics who's actually made a study of the Priory of Sion to see what he made of it all. Do you think that the Priory is real or a hoax? do you make of the so-called bloodline theory that seems to be interwoven with the whole Priory mythology? Specialises in investigating the covert world of Freemasons and secret societies, including the Priory of Sion. Having asked him to try and establish contact with the Priory's inner circle, he'd begun to receive some detailed emails.
What do you think the Priory are talking to?
What they appear to be doing is setting the ground the general public. It's as if they're putting ideas out into consciousness, into public awareness, at a slow rate of acceptance. Because if, say 30 years ago, for example, you produced the body of Jesus, it would cause huge upheavals, and it would cause a lot of people distress, deep distress, that's unnecessary.
There have been emails going back and forth for a couple of weeks now, but the good news is that Rob's contact in the Priory has finally agreed to meet in person. I mean, I still don't know who he really is. I don't know why he's agreed to meet. I don't know how safe it will be, but I think it's a gamble worth taking. Knows. He's in the kind of in a circle of the Priory. Then it's the first time someone that important has gone on record for like 30 years. So this could be a real coup. I agreed that we wouldn't film it. But I'm going to wear a mic anyway. And record what I can.
Your attitude is absolutely crucial. Yes, your intention, the way in which you handle the goods, you handle the information is imperative. There is much more to be discovered, I suspect, in the underlying of the shadow. One might imagine people going into a situation and then entering a tomb or even a small cataclysm complex, such as may exist, and discovering something that is earth-shattering.
The village of Rennes-le-Château was an interesting reference because parchments that were said to reveal incontrovertible evidence of this bloodline were reportedly discovered there at the end of the 19th century. But according to accounts from the time, the Vatican moved very quickly to suppress the discovery, paying off the priest who found them, and they were never seen again. The priest's name would be familiar to any reader of the Da Vinci Code. It was Bérenger Saunière. Rob sent me over 100 emails from his Priory contact. The claims and the information were fascinating, but was any of it true?
Do you believe that he is in the Priory of Sion? He definitely is in the Priory of Sion. We've seen enough evidence, we've had enough conversations, the material I've been furnished with not only shows me that he's very credible and very much in the Priory of Sion, but also shows me that the Priory has a wealth of inside information into the mysteries of Rennes-le-Château.
Even though Rob was convinced that he was the real deal, I wasn't so sure. How did I know that this guy wasn't just making all this stuff up? I thought one way was to put him on camera, put him under the lights and see how he'd react and what he'd say. So after weeks of negotiations about where and when, Rob arranged for a meeting.
What do you think the Priory's mission is?
The Priory of Zion is propagandizing on behalf of this idea that there's this royal bloodline. They're releasing information at a quick pace. They're exploding information and it's meant to be absorbed by the public. So yeah, it doesn't really matter whether there was a charter that was passed from the Templars to the Rosicrucians and then to the modern Priory of Zion. If they're continuing the same tradition, then they essentially are the same society. They're the same group, the same conspiracy.
Because I was sceptical about who he claimed to be, I checked into this man's background with a private investigator. What we found was his name was Nicholas Hayward. He was the adopted son of Sir Harold Hayward, a former advisor to Prince Charles. He was a collector of rare alchemical texts, and he was a high-ranking 33rd degree Freemason.
Do you think this man's hiding something?
Unusual for somebody to be so difficult to get into in the UK, which has found them on their doors and are normally, may well be, for example, in an extreme situation, we have adopted a totally new identity.
Are you a member of the Priory of Zion?
I have friends in the Priory of Sion. I speak on their behalf. Zion is not really a secret organisation. Zion just does not choose to operate and cannot really operate in the light. There is a lot to fear in some respects. We do not seek publicity, but we delight on occasion when the right people come along with the right mindset and intention. And that is why I am here.
Do you believe, or does the Priory believe or have evidence that Jesus married Mary and had children?
Yes. Yes, is a simple answer to that.
Is there a bloodline of Jesus and Mary?
There is a bloodline of Jesus and Mary, yes. There is.
Do you have evidence within the Priory? Is there evidence?
There is evidence.
Beyond what's in the Bible,
beyond
the Talmud?
There exists evidence beyond question, but the mainstay of evidence itself is a series of items which are kept together of objects. I will not go any further and explain what those objects are. They are unquestioned.
Are they in the possession of the Priory?
Their whereabouts is in the possession of the Priory.
Did Mary Magdalene come to France?
The body of evidence itself attests to that wholeheartedly.
Is that in France?
Yes.
What they tell me is that the evidence is in the area of the chateau, and that it is a body of evidence, and I think they mean body in the real term. And this is what they hold against what they call the great lie. That history is not how people have been taught and how the Vatican teaches. That Jesus was in fact married, that he had children, that Mary becomes his bride. They claim they have a body, and that if this body is revealed, then it's incontrovertible proof.
Do you think there's a move to stop you and others being more open with the likes of us?
Yes. Some are happy, some are not.
And would they take, do you think people will be prepared to take the ultimate step to stop that happening?
Don't ask me any more about that, please.
There do appear to have been 3 deaths in the last year of members of Sion, all of which were suspicious and all of, in an identical manner, which is
cerebral hemorrhage or stroke.
In the sort of secret society of Masonic movement,
Negative of the use of a certain poison.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
It's like 2 a.m. and I just got a call that a man we were going to meet, Lord Litchfield, died last night at a party. Apparently he died of a cerebral hemorrhage, and he was going to show us some papers he had connected to the Priory and this whole mystery. So I don't know if he was in the Priory, but I do know that apparently he did have a copy of The Shepherds of Arcadia in his private study, which is the painting that Gino Sargeri said was one of the coded works of art for this whole mystery. So maybe that's just a coincidence, and maybe it's a coincidence that he died of a cerebral hemorrhage, and maybe it's a coincidence that he died just a few days before we were going to meet him and talk to him about the bloodline. If members of the Priory had been killed to stop information being revealed, then it was possible that they would try and stop me too. I contacted a member of an important Masonic lodge in Paris to find out what he knew about the Priory and the bloodline. He agreed to talk to me as long as we didn't reveal his identity.
You know, these things must say, there is a whole network of Masonic lodges linked to the Vatican, to the CIA. It's incredible. You have no idea. These are very serious people, of course. They would stop at nothing to protect their secrets. They killed Roberto Catholic in London because he was going to go protect them. It's real. The bloodline idea is real. So don't think they want to kill you to cover up.